Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on? I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am S. Foster.
That's right. You tuned into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, my guy?
It's been a long week, man.
Yeah.
It's been a long week, but
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad, you know what I'm saying, it's the end of the week. It's Friday. It's the episode I've been looking forward to doing. So I am excited about that though. I don't have to work this weekend. So that's a good sign. But I'm doing all right though, man. Feeling good. How about you, man? How you feeling?
Man, feeling good, feeling great. I have no complaints. Just, you know what I'm saying, trying to keep it moving, man. Just trying to keep it going.
Man, I feel you, man. Like Bun B said, gotta keep on pushing.
Absolutely.
Well, Bun B didn't say it. He used a sample, but
yeah, absolutely. That's a fact. I got you know what I'm saying, trying to just stack some money up, man. That's all. I'm out here working like, you know what I'm saying, a man with child support, alimony, and high bill. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but I feel you, bud. That's why, man, I've been working. Yeah, that's why I've been working extra, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boy, single parent out here in these streets, man. So
same.
Yeah, man. So you gotta get it done, man. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you.
Absolutely. Then I think my son set me up. He said I told him that I was supposed to be barbecuing this weekend. I'm like, Brian.
He threw a barbecue on you.
Yeah, I'm like, Brian never tell you that, bro. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think I ever told him that though, but I don't know. He be trying to set me up for shit, man.
Hey, listen, so you need to bring him back, bud, because that was funny. When he was on the Punisher episode.
Yeah, man. He be wild. Dude got issues, funny. Man. He got some real serious issues. I'm trying to fix him every day.
Hey, look, I got an idea. Listen, right? Mm-hmm. And I know we live, but man, we might have to 2 Chainz this thing up a little bit. You know how 2 Chainz got a podcast with one of his sons?
Yeah, with his kids.
Yeah, like we might have to.
I don't know if he ain't media trained yet. He ain't media trained yet, man. He gotta take. I gotta work with him first.
Hey, he might be saying.
Yeah, maybe one of these days. That's it.
Oh man, that's funny. That is hilarious.
So hey man, let's go ahead and get into it, man. This is our favorite segment of the show, where we give you little tidbits of what we consume outside of every episode. We call it What We Watching.
Yes, sir.
What we watching?
What we watching?
So what you got this week, Brody?
All right, so I got 2 movies this week.
Okay.
One, shout out to my guy, Tyrone Collins. You know what I'm saying? He hit me up and he sent me the trailer. He was like, yo, like this is on Netflix right now. This is a really, really dope movie. It came out a couple years ago, but it's pretty good. So I was like, all right. He gave me the suggestion. I was like, man, let me check it out because we be going back and forth with movies and shit. So he told me about this movie called The Rental. You know what I'm saying? They got my dude, Jeremy Allen White in it, my dude that was in Shameless and The Bear. Like he's in this movie. And so basically what it is so it's these 2 couples, but the dudes are brothers. And the one brother is married and the other one, like, they're just dating. So they seated at this big ass house, like on the like kind of on the coast, but it's really high up on this ledge. I was touching really nice house. And like they are really surprised of like how much it costs to like rent it for the weekend or whatever. So they go in there and like everybody got like their own little issues or whatever. Like the Jeremy Allen White, like he's like him and his girl, like they're not on like the best terms or whatever. And one thing where it starts off with, we start to see like she's a person that's fine with confrontation. So like she tried to rent the place first and got denied, but when my dude brother did it, he got accepted. And so when the guy that give them the key and tell them about the property and all that type shit, she asked him, why was I denied? But the white man was able to get it. You know what I'm saying? And then my dude said some racist shit. So they like, oh shit, like man, this dude is a fucking asshole. So you get into all that type shit with the build up, but what ends up happening is, so the brother and the other girl works together. Then he ended up smashing his dude's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So now they both like on edge and shit. And so what ended up happening because they got into it in the jacuzzi, but then she went to go take a shower, and you know what I'm saying, dude went in there. So you know what I'm saying, so he smashed her in the shower. So she goes to take a shower the next day, looks up, there's a fucking camera in one of the holes in the shower head. So she's like, oh shit, somebody watched us. So they think it's the dude that gave them the key and stuff for the house.
Right.
So the jacuzzi stopped working. And so they called the dude back out there. So one thing that happened is that one of the dude's dogs went missing. But that wasn't supposed to have dogs there in the first place. And they think that the dude stole the dog. So they got into this huge fight or whatever. But anyway, the dude had got, how do I say this? So the girl that cheated on her boyfriend had cornered the dude, was like, yo, just give me the footage. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she was like, you put a camera in the shower head. Just give us the footage, blase, blase. And then the dude got loud with her. So her boyfriend come in, beat him up. And the dude was still breathing. But then you see this dude sneaks into the house. So anyway, I'm stringing this out. Basically, there's someone who's letting people rent the houses. He's watching them, and then he comes in, fucking kills them. And they ended up thinking that they killed the maintenance guy, but they didn't. He was just beat to a pulp, but he wasn't dead. But the guy, when they was all thinking about whether they should call the police or not, the one guy smothered him to death. And then they think that he was the one who killed him. Like, it's this whole little thing. But anyway, this fucking person is basically getting these big, expensive properties, putting cameras all through them, having people rent them out and kill them, basically. That's what this movie Rental is about. So it ended up being it was pretty good. But this is the one though. And I think that they said it was released in theaters, but now it's on Hulu and it's called The Locksmith, right? It got Ryan Phillippe in it. It got Case Bosworth in it. It got Ving Rhames in it. And like, so basically, it's called The Locksmith because Ryan Phillippe is like this, you know what I'm saying? He could pick locks and break safes, right? So he's doing, the movie starts, he's doing this job. And you can see, so he's pulled up before he starts to do the job. He's talking to this guy in like a cop car. So obviously the cop is in on it. So when they broke into the place, they get the safe open, and the safe end up having a sensor in it. So a silent alarm went off. So the cop figures, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. The dude that Ryan Phillippe took with him to rob this place, he shoots the other guy and sets Ryan Phillippe up, and so he goes to jail for 10 years. So while he was away, now that cop is like a fucking big time detective and shit. You know what I'm saying? He's a head of Vice and all this because he was you know what I'm saying? That was a big bust for him. So when he gets out of jail, you know what I'm saying? He put the rundown on him, and Ryan, before he went away, he got his girl pregnant. So now he's introduced to his daughter, and like Ving Rhames, like he was like his guy for him. Like when he got out, he was the one who picked him up. You know what I'm saying? He took him to his he has a like a locksmith like shop, and he got like a little cot in there. He's like, look, you can stay in here. He gave him, you know what I'm saying, money, gave him a job, all the type of shit. So Ving Rhames is like his guy. Like they used to work together. They used to do, you know what I'm saying, robberies and shit like that. But he held it down for him. And so he's trying to stay on the right path. But this is the problem. The problem is the dude that he took with him on that first job was this girl's brother. And now
Yeah.
she is being prostituted by this one real estate guy, and she wants to be bought out of prostitution. So she
Right.
wants him because she feels that he owe her something. So she wants him to rob this poker game. She said we could get like a 500,000. She was like, rob this and then give me the money so I can, buy my freedom basically. But
Yeah.
she ends up setting him up. And like so there's this whole thing. And then his fucking girl that he got pregnant before he went away, she's a cop now. And she works under the cop that set him up to go to jail for 10 years.
That's
So
a
like
lot of
that,
shit.
yeah, it's a lot of shit going on
Yeah,
and a
that's a
lot
lot of
of
shit.
moving parts. But it was a pretty good movie. I don't know why I never heard of it until I seen them promote it on Hulu. Because I thought it was a really, really good movie. And those are some big names. Those three names are some big names. Um so I got The Rental, which you can find it on Netflix, and I got The Locksmith, you can find that on Hulu.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. So I only got one. And it's the only Star Wars movie that I haven't fully watched, and it's Solo. Yeah, this the only one I never fully watched. I was watching it, and when it first came out, I was watching it, and something had came up, so I had to leave and go take care of business, and I never got back to it. So I finally sat down, you know what I'm saying, turned it on and watched it, and I'm once again, man, they just don't fail. But it's starring, you know what I'm saying, Alden Ehrenreich, Woody Harrelson, Amelia Clark, Donald Glover, Thandie Newton, Paul Bettany, John Favreau, and Aaron Kellerman. And it's basically just the origin story of Han Solo. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much how he and Chewbacca met, you know what I'm saying? Just pretty much how he came to be the scavenger that he ended up becoming. And I'm not gonna lie, man, they did a hell of a job. Shout out to Donald Glover. He did a great job playing a young Lando Calrissian. Paul Bettany, you know what I'm saying, being the villain, did a hell of a job. And for those who don't know who Paul Bettany is, or that name may sound familiar, you may know him as Vision from the Avengers. But he did a hell of a job in this one. I'm kind of sad that I didn't watch this one all the way through originally, because it's a lot of stuff that I've seen that, you know what I'm saying, kind of ties into a bunch of other movies here and there, but it made a lot of stuff made sense after watching this movie about Han Solo, and you know what I'm saying, seeing him in those earlier movies. So they did a great job being able to piece this together and connect it, you know what I'm saying, to his story overall. So if you guys get a chance, it's on Disney Plus. It's called Solo. If you're into Star Wars, but definitely make sure you check that out if you haven't already.
What's up? That surprises me
indeed.
that you never seen it all the way through though. That does
Man,
surprise
it's if the bullshit would have never happened, man, I'd have been able to see it, man. But it's one of them things, like, in the midst of everything, you know how like sometimes you get that frustration and then you forget about everything you was doing. It was one of those situations. So I was frustrated for the rest of the day. I ain't even go back to it, and then forgot about it after that. But I mean, so far I've seen literally every Star Wars movie that has come out. I'm talking about Solo, Rogue One, all of them joints. You know what I'm saying? The prequels, the sequels, all them joints, man. I seen the whole trilogies. I seen every trilogy. So yeah, they doing a hell of a job. And I'm geeked because they got another one coming out.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Look,
So,
I'm happy for you with all of the shit that they're doing on Disney Plus and
oh
all
man,
this shit, all the side
they
things.
killing it. Yeah,
That's what's
they
up.
got a new show coming out too, Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire. It's Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. And she finally I want to say they're gonna show her when she finally actually becomes a Jedi, because they had her in the Mandalorian in a couple episodes of the Mandalorian. And in this one, I'm assuming they're gonna keep that going. So I'm super excited to see what they're gonna do with that, especially coming off of like Star Wars Rebels and all that shit. It's gonna be all
That's what's up, man.
right. For
But
sure.
you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, before we get to the feature presentation, man,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
man, we lost a legend, like,
absolutely.
who first got his fame. Well, if we really want to speak about very first fame, you hear the stories of like how great of a lacrosse player he was.
Absolutely.
They say he was a all-American lacrosse player, but goes to Syracuse, two-sport star, you know, goes to the NFL. A lot of people say, one of the greatest running backs to play the game. End his career early, what I'm saying, but he get into the activism and things like that. But, the reason why we're mainly bringing him up on here is because he came into Hollywood, gave us a lot, what I'm saying? He really became, what I'm saying? You would say one of the first, black action stars, I would say, you know.
Absolutely.
Um, did a lot in those rounds, but we lost Jim Brown today, 87 years old. Um, I've seen a few of the movies. You probably seen more because you're really big in black exploitation films. But
Yeah.
the film that always stood out to me, which was a little later in his career, was "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker." Like Jim Brown killed me in that. Yo, but when he got shot in his toe, but he said they shot me in my bunion, but hey, but
Yeah,
that thing was
man.
thriving, but hey, that shit was hilarious, man.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, I know you got some things to say, man.
Oh yeah, first thing, you know what I'm saying, first and foremost, it's of course RIP. And prayers and condolences to his family and friends. But Jim Brown is one of those guys that kind of started the superstar football athlete, you know what I'm saying, persona. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't have a Jim Brown, of course you wouldn't have had a OJ Simpson. You know what I mean? When OJ was, at the peak of his game, he was in Airplane and all these other movies and what I'm saying, commercials and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? He kind of carried that torch from Jim Brown, you know what I'm saying, being able to be on what they call back then the silver screen. But just to let you know how much of a star Jim Brown was. He was in um the Dirty Dozen in 1967. He was in Any Given Sunday. He was he was himself in Draft Day, of course. But he was in the Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was in Mars Attacks. He was fighting aliens in Mars Attacks, CGI aliens. You know what I'm saying? He was in oh my goodness. I'm trying to see. He was in He Got Game. Original Gangsters. Uh you already said I'm gonna get you, sucker. Um, but you know what I'm saying, just to name a few, he would do cameos. He was in Knight Rider, Chips, TJ Hooker, you know what I'm saying? Um a few of the older movies that he was in the 60s and 70s. I mean, he was in hella, you know what I'm saying, black exploitations like Black Gun, Slaughter's Revenge, um, just all kind of different movies, man. And it just, to remember like Jim Brown in that era, especially that black exploitation era, when he was, you know what I'm saying, you had guys like him, you had guys like Richard Roundtree, you had guys like Fred Williamson, you know what I'm saying, you had all of these guys who were able to, you know what I'm saying, do these movies and transition and stuff into that. And for him to be able to start transitioning into an actor, you know what I'm saying, after his football career, after, you know what I'm saying, he cut it short and was like, yeah, I ain't got too much to do no more. I done broke records. You know what I'm saying? I done ran people over. I done scored touchdowns, caught passes, threw passes. You know what I mean? Like he's just one of those people who, when, you know what I'm saying, you talk about black excellence and you talk about, you know what I'm saying, somebody that creates history. This is one of the people that we can look up to as a shining example. You know what I'm saying? Also a civil rights advocate. You know what I mean? So yeah, Jim Brown was the man, bro, for sure.
Yes, sir, man. R.I.P. to the Brown family, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So man, this is a joint, man. You know what I'm saying? This is I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. This movie did not age well.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you want to know what fucking was so funny to me. And I
What?
was like, yo, this is how different it was in '96. When
Absolutely.
when the fucking phone fell out of his pocket and he became a suspect because he had a cell phone.
Come on, bro.
I'm like, yo, but kids are not gonna understand that shit at all. Like
Ever.
what? Just because he got a cell phone, he's a
Ever.
suspect. Yo, everybody got a cell phone, man. You got kids out here 9 years old with cell phones. I thought that
Mm-hmm.
that did not age well at all. That
Nah.
shit funny.
I'm so the rewatching this, right? The genius of this movie, I will say, is the fact that they made a scary movie within a scary movie.
Yes.
So like the whole theme was supposed to be making like this classic slasher film. Um
Mm-hmm.
and like as they were going through the movie, like, you know what I'm saying, they would be talking about horror movies throughout this whole movie. So like
Yes.
that was the whole thing that I was paying attention to, and I was like, damn, that is genius, because it's like you watching a horror movie within the horror movie. um However, though, there was a lot of moments in this motherfucking movie, bro, where you was just like, all right, come on now. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, I do want to get this for the record. The costume that they were wearing in this movie, it was called Father Death. Who came up with Ghostface? And why is that the name of the Scream Killer, Ghostface? The nigga's name should be Father Death. Like that was literally like they literally showed you the packaging that the costume came in and everything. It showed you the name of it and everything. And these niggas still got it wrong and start calling this nigga Ghostface. So I don't know how they came up with that part. Also, I've never seen niggas get stabbed up and beat up and still come back to life so much in the movie than I have in this one. Fucking Courtney Cox would not go down for nothing. She did all kind of shit. She could have died so
Hey,
many times, but somehow, some way, she ended up surviving and
listen,
saving the day.
Gail Weathers just made it all the way to the seventh. I just watched
Trash
it.
name, by the way.
Wednesday? When I watched
Mhm.
it, Wednesday night. I watched because it's on Paramount Plus right now.
Mhm.
So I watched the newest screen that just came out, which is ironic. So I watched it, and she finally fucking dies. Like this,
Is that the
Gail
one in
Weathers.
2002?
No, 2022. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
2022.
2022. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
2022. Yeah, that was the
Yeah, that's the
last
one that
one.
just came out. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So she finally fucking dies.
about
But she was
time.
supposed to die a long time ago. But
Yeah,
Gail keeps finding a way to survive. But yes, Gail Weathers
absolutely.
is a terrible name.
But
But
so real quick, let's get him a synopsis of this movie.
okay,
Basically, there is a killer loose in, I don't know where this place is supposed to be.
Woodsboro.
Woodsboro, wherever that is. It's a killer loose in Woodsboro, and he's basically going around. He or she, at the moment, is basically going around killing high school kids. That's the
Yes.
synopsis. That's it. They find out they find out who it is at the end, and said person dies. So and then the crazy part is all because of the main character,
Sydney.
Sydney's mom was a victim of a rape and a murder, and one of the guy
Well,
that she was dating ended up getting framed for the murder. And
Well, she wasn't raped because she was throwing that pussy around like Sharon Stone.
supposedly.
Well,
Supposedly.
look, if you watch Scream 3, then you know she was throwing that thing around. But
Oh, okay. So she wasn't raped. She was actually just chopped up.
oh
You know what I'm
no, she
saying?
was not raped at all. Like, you
Okay.
know.
So basically this is all because of Sydney's mom.
Yes.
And the beginning of the movie, Drew Barrymore, you know what I'm saying, classic scene. This was the scene that we were talking about in Coming Soon. Gets on the phone, blah blah blah. What's your favorite scary movie? You know what I'm saying? And then she said, what she say? Halloween?
She said
Or,
Halloween, yeah.
yeah, she said Halloween. She's talking about Michael Myers or whatever. And then next thing you know, her boyfriend outside tied up to a chair. Then she turned away. She turned back and looked. This nigga guts everywhere. And then her parents come home and she cut up, gutted, and strung up from a tree. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's no way this nigga did all that while her parents was in the house looking for her.
Well, it depends on how good you are with a knife. He had her halfway there, you know what I'm saying, when the parents was walking through the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was dragging her when her mom got on the phone.
Yeah.
But what I noticed about this scene, which I noticed it before, but like you said it best, it's a horror movie within a horror movie.
Yeah.
So they're giving all of these references to other, you know what I'm saying, horror movies that was in the past and shit. So he tells her before he kills the boyfriend, it's like, yo, you can save him, but I want to play a game. And so, you know, he give her an easy question, who's the killer in Halloween? She's like, Michael Myers. All right. So he was like, all right, for the real question, you know what I'm saying, who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And she's like, Jason, like she's excited and shit. He was like, no, wrong answer. Like I said this shit. He was like, it was Mrs. Voorhees. You know what I'm saying? Jason didn't come to the sequel. And I thought that it was so dope to give her a trick question like that because 95% of the people are going to say Jason.
Do not know that. Yeah, nobody knows that Jason's mom is the original killer.
Yeah. And then not only that, but the fact of like when Sean Cunningham did that movie, he had no intent on keeping this shit going. Because if you watch like the whole documentary thing on it, because I'm a psycho, you know what I'm saying? The whole shit where when the girl was laying in the boat, the movie was supposed to end like that.
Yeah.
But somebody came up with the idea like, yo, like we could give this whole thing, you know what I'm saying? A thing where we can make a supernatural killer. Let's have this disformed boy come out of the water and pull the girl under. And so that movie got success. So then it was like, all right, so let's do this disformed boy, and we're gonna do the whole thing of Jason. So it wasn't even really supposed to be a huge thing with Friday the 13th. It was really kind of really supposed to be one movie. But unless you are really into it, because it was a trick question. She was supposed to say, like, hold on, you mean the first one? Or like what are we talking? So I thought that it was dope to put like these movies within movies, and then like even during the party, they're watching Halloween. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're referencing movies like Prom Night. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Which they never even, which was one thing that was so stupid about the movie that I didn't understand was when old dude was like, wait till you see Jamie's breast. Wait till you see, you don't see her breast in Halloween.
Right.
So it's like, all right, I don't even know why this is even, I don't know why they screwed that up. But anyway, I thought that was the really smart thing to do because we talked in the talking, in the Coming Soon that at the time in the early 90s, everybody was like, yo, Wes Craven ain't got it no more. Like a lot of people was like, yo, this dude is falling off. He ain't really, you know what I'm saying? He came with the Freddy joints, and then those Freddy joints turned into really comedy, really. It got to the point where the shit wasn't really scary anymore.
Because it started to get corny after a while, for sure.
Yeah, it got super corny. So everybody's like, oh, well, Wes ain't got it no more. And so, you know, he comes up with this idea to do the Scream joint. And to start it the way that he started it with with Drew Barrymore, which was a bona fide star at this point. Like everybody knew who she was. And for the start the movie, the way that they started it, because like another thing that don't age well is the home phone, obviously. Like motherfuckers. Now they made it realistic to an extent because like she hung up on the dude like twice before it really got to the shit.
Motherfuckers, just kept calling back.
Yeah, he just kept calling back. Yeah. Most people just like shit, take this motherfucker off the ring or something. Yeah, like just don't answer the fucking phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that would have got her far in that movie.
But it really depends because what we don't know is that what he would have done the shit anyway. Like his whole intent was to.
Not.
I don't know though, because once we found out what at least one of the dude's motives was, Billy had a motive. Fucking Stu didn't. Stu was just a follower.
Okay, Stu, aka Shaggy.
Yes.
I was not a fan of him in this movie. Funny, but not a fan of him in this movie. The crazy part was when, and I know I'm moving like super far along, but the crazy part was when they were setting up the whole ending for it, and he had already got stabbed and everything, and then she ended up getting the phone and shit and called him on the phone, and this nigga was like, "My mom and dad are gonna be so bad." This nigga said, "Did you really call the cops?" Like, fam, this is the least of your worries. You bleeding out, my boy. Go find something to help yourself, man. What are we doing here?
Yo, I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of my favorite parts.
That
because
so
he give Billy give him the phone, and she was like, Stu. She was like, the cops are on the way. He was just like, she said, "What are you gonna do?" He was like, "Peer pressure."
Right, like, come on, man.
My man said peer pressure, and then she was like, that part was so funny to me. But Stu was really like, for Billy not to tell him what his real motive was in doing this shit,
because he damn sure looked surprised when he found out.
He was super surprised. Yeah. And the one great thing about the series, if we're talking Scream, we're talking Scream. But like, because I was telling you, so the Scream, the second to last Scream to come out, we found out the main character in that is actually Billy's daughter. So even though Sydney wasn't giving up the draws, he was smashing other girls in the school. So he got somebody pregnant.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, what first and foremost, how do you rewatching this? How do you not know that nigga's the killer? Like, if anybody was confused at any point in this movie you knew he was the killer from the get-go. As soon as he got fucking arrested, you knew he was the killer. Because the way he turned around and looked at her, I'm like, that's how you supposed to look at your girl when you supposed to be consoling her, my nigga. You just looked at her like, yeah, bitch, I'm gonna get you. I'm like, oh yeah, he gave it up, man. So yeah, but I don't know, man.
I think that they went a little. The last two was a reach. Okay, it was I wouldn't say that because I enjoyed this movie. I thought that it was different. A lot of the stuff that was coming out in the 90s wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really. It wasn't a lot of good shit coming out. So
it brought back the slasher genre for horror movies. You know what I'm saying? And then it didn't do it in that plucky comic way, and it didn't do it in that generic 80s way. It really gave you a modern take on slasher movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that dude is running around with a knife and he killing people. I mean, you kind of had to give it the credit. And then like the way he was so elusive with what he was doing. And then come to find out it was two of them. It made sense then. You know what I'm saying? Like everything actually made sense as to why they were able to do what they were doing. Because it wasn't just one person doing all this shit. It was more than one person doing all this shit. And so seeing how all that played out, and then when you find out what happens in the end, you like, oh, okay, it makes sense as to why they was able to move the way that they was moving. And I think that bringing that back, especially with how gory and vulgar it was, it really brought you back to those old school, you know what I'm saying, slasher flicks where you was like, oh yeah, he getting busy. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a decent kill count in this
one. He did, and the people that he
they
chose to kill, yeah, they did because it was always 2 up until 3, but like. Mm-hmm. What we tend to find out if you watch, all of these, I never watched the TV show. I watched all of the movies, but I never watched the TV show. Okay. But how important Billy is.
Right.
Because Billy is involved in every single one of them, even though he dies in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he says the reason why he did this shit in the first place is because her mom was sleeping with his dad and got caught cheating, and that's why his mom left.
Right.
And then you go to the second one where she convinced 2 people to try to kill Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the third one where it's actually her long lost brother that she never even knew existed. This motherfucker got footage of his dad going to the hotel room to have sex with her mom. And he was the one who showed it to Billy. So then, in all actuality, he was the one who really ramped Billy up to even do the shit. And so then you keep going, and then next thing you know, Billy got a fucking long lost daughter that we didn't even fucking know about. So it's like,
yeah, see, that's where they stretching it at. That's
yeah.
It get to going way too far. That's to me, I think that's the thing about these type of movies that we've seen so much of, and I think that's the genius of Halloween too, because Halloween got to the same point that all of these movies have gotten to where they get comical, goofy, plucky, and you know what I'm saying, like it's shit in there where you be like, all right, now this is when you know the writers was running out of options and ideas.
Yeah.
And so we've seen that happen with Nightmare on Elm Street. We've seen it happen with Friday the 13th. Jason X is the perfect example. I forgot which one was the Jason one where he went to New York. That was a perfect example. And then shit, like you saying, Scream was a perfect example. And Halloween is the only one. It almost got to that point when they did like Halloween H2O. And then it was like, yeah, scrap that. We gonna revamp this shit and redo it, and we gonna bring it back to what it was. That's the only. I think Halloween is the only one that really survived. You know what I'm saying? Getting out of that goofy mode and that comical shit that they was doing. But as far as like the start, so the first one, this one that we're talking about, as far as the start of it, in a weird way, it already had that comical element to it, but it wasn't like it wasn't blatant. You know what I'm saying? It was more like of an undertone for this movie. And so like to me, you know what I'm saying, having Jamie Kennedy, you know what I'm saying, talk about all the horror movies and like, you know what I'm saying, how him and Billy was, you know, giving out the horror movie buffs and all that shit. And then like as Jamie Kennedy talking about the rules, everything that he's saying with the rules is they showing everything with Sydney. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like all the shit you ain't supposed to be doing, Sydney and is doing. So as you see it on the screen on the TV, you also see her doing it too. So it's, you know what I'm saying, flicking back and forth. So it kind of had that little weird part right there. But outside of that, like everything else was super refreshing to bring back. And especially in the 90s, it definitely was. Because I remember when this came out, 96, like this was the one that was like, we already explained to you guys in the coming soon how much of a trend it was to copy something from Scream. You know what I'm saying? We even had parodies made of it with Scary Movie. You know what I'm saying? We even had beer commercials, you know what I'm saying, using it. Mad TV, Saturday Night Live, like all of them was covering this movie. Like everybody wanted to be a part of this movie because it was such a huge thing at the moment. It was such a phenomenon in the moment to where you had to respect what it brought to the game. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
really didn't have no choice but to.
They did, and it was a great marketing tool, and I think that's why it kept continuing on. And I
Absolutely.
think that they had, I think once they got like all the people that is involved in the writing, I think that they knew that Billy was going to be the person that they can ride this thing through, because using the whole thing of, all right, the moms, Mrs. Prescott or whatever, like, so she's this hoe or whatever, going around basically fucking everybody. So she's fucking Cotton Reary, you know what I'm saying? She's married and she's fucking Billy's dad and all this type shit. And so then, you know what I'm saying, once it gets to the third one, they explain why she's this way. So then they're using the whole movie scene because she tried to be an actress and shit. And so then she just basically got the train ran on out in Hollywood. You know what I mean? So that's what ended up happening there. And I guess she just like couldn't get that shit like out of her system or whatever, whatnot. So I think that the writing, they found a way to make it good, but it's like they're still reaching that's involved in that, because I think the whole thing of like with the last two is still being connected to Billy. And then the last one that I just watched a couple of nights ago, there's this dude who was so obsessed with the whole Woodsboro's killings and all of this shit. My dude had a shrine of everything that has been involved in this whole series, right? So all the way down from this person had every mask from every person that was a, you know what I'm saying, a ghost face killer or whatever. So you had one mask that showed up at a place and it was like, yo, this got such and such DNA on it. And I was like, well, how the fuck did that happen? And so you go into this room, you see the coat of so the fat dude that was the cameraman for Gail Weathers, that coat that he had on, top story or whatever, that jacket was in that shrine room. You had what else they had in there? Like everything that was recognizable was in this room. Even the TV that fell on Stu's head, that TV was in this room. It was the weirdest fucking shit you've ever seen. But I think what they was trying to do is that they was just trying to tie the story together.
Yeah.
But it was just, I don't know, like I felt like it was just too cheesy. Like I think that I get why they did it, but I felt like it was too much. But there is a point that I wanted to bring up. And me and you, we have this conversation because, you know, we pick up on some shit, especially you, that, you know, other people don't pick up on shit. So when we be talking about movies about people in high school and shit like that, we always be like, yo, where the fuck are the parents? Where is Stu's parents? Yo, there is a killer on the loose. This motherfucker throws a party. His parents is nowhere to be found. Like, do they even care about their son?
Well, it's not just him, it's the whole goddamn city or whatever, town or whatever the fuck they was in, because it was a bunch of goddamn kids at that party.
And then you got Deputy Dewey knowing these motherfuckers underage drinking.
Come on, man.
Drinking right in front of him.
He trying to see, this is the thing, right? Like, and this is how I always wondered how what's his name? David Arquette. I always wondered how he became such a like a star. Because it's like he's never played a role that was good enough to where you'd be like, man, he killing that shit. Like even in this movie, it seemed like he was too comfortable playing this role. Like he was like this was really who he was. Like he wanted to be so cool with the kids in the height. Like, fam, you're a grown ass man. Like the fact that your little sister is talking to you like that in the police
Definite Dewey boy.
Yeah, like then
he had to get his mom to tell him to respect him when he got the badge.
Mom said, when I wear the badge, you have to address me as deputy. Like, fam, what?
That's
First
funny.
and foremost, my little sister could never. Okay, she wouldn't dare. If I had a badge, we in the police station and you talking, oh, okay, you trying to get detained. Don't worry about it, man. You talking too much. Let me put you in the cell real quick, okay? Let me shut you up. All right, because you talking too crazy to me right now. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. His character, like the Dewey character is so goofy, bro, because it's like, first and foremost, you the deputy. All right, cool. You so caught up in trying to get in what's her name? In Gail's in Gail's thunderclouds. You know what I'm saying? that you ain't even fucking paying attention to what the fuck going on. You talking about, oh, it's a car down the road. You bringing her with you, knowing that this bitch is a tabloid reporter, so she really just getting a scoop about whatever she can from you. That's the only reason that y'all even talking. I'm like, come on, fam, what are we doing here? Like, you can't be that fucking naive as a police officer. Second note, you talk about the parents, nigga, the whole police station should be fired. Dewey included. Where the fuck was the police doing all of this? They called the police, I don't know how many times. This bitch typed 911 in the computer, and they still never came
showed up.
Save anybody.
No, they did show up. Remember when Billy, when she ran out the door and Dewey was holding the mask and she started screaming? So they did come.
When was this?
Okay, so you remember when she got the first phone call, right? So she went out on the porch. Nobody was out there. So when she went into the house, dude tried to stab her. She ran upstairs. She went into her room. Like you said, she went to the computer, typed it up.
Yeah.
So when the knocking stopped at the door, then all of a sudden Billy jumps through the window, and then the phone drops. So she runs downstairs. Dewey was down there, and he was holding the mask, and both of them started screaming like clowns because he was holding the mask up, and she screamed because she saw the mask, and then he screamed because she screamed.
Right.
So the police was there.
The police didn't show up. Dewey showed up.
Well, this is true.
That nigga ain't the police. I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about the police. Niggas that could really do something. This nigga was on site at the ending scene. This nigga comes out of the house talking to fucking Sydney, and what do you know? He got stabbed in the fucking back. You the police, my nigga. You got a gun. What's going on here?
Yo, in the
didn't he go in the house with the gun? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Then the whole thing that pissed me off is they got that big ass camera on top of the VCR. How do you not see that motherfucker?
Man, well, everything was big back then.
Nah, man. You mean to tell me this big ass box with this big round ass lens is just sitting on the VCR and don't nobody realize? Jamie Kennedy literally answered the phone and was like,
his mouth moving.
Wait a minute. Principal Henley is dead? I'm like, fam, you don't see this big ass camera right in front of you? Nah, man. It's one of those things, man, where it's like, that's why I said this movie did not age well, because it was too many scenarios to where they could have escaped. For instance, goddamn, what is her name? Dewey's sister.
Tatum.
Tatum, yeah. Shout out to Rose McGowan, by the way.
Yes.
Tatum. So she's in the fucking garage. Okay. All the lights is off and everything. She puts up a fight with this nigga. I mean, like, she really giving this nigga the business. She tries to open the door. Don't work. Now, mind you, it's garage opener sitting right there. Don't work. This nigga runs at her. She flips him over. She says, bing bong, I'm going to go ahead and climb through the dog door. Now, she wasn't that goddamn big.
She wasn't, but there's no fucking way.
How did she not fit through that dog door, bro?
That's one thing. Yes. Now, okay, I'm not gonna go there, but there's no garage opener
strong enough
to lift that bitch up and crush her.
And then that motherfucking motor is so strong that it's still pulling and blows the light. Man, if you don't get that bullshit ass killed the fuck out of here, bro. And then they never found her, by the way.
No, Sydney saw her. When she fell down from the roof and she fell on the boat, she saw her.
You're right. I'm about to say, because the whole time everybody kept asking, where's Tatum? They like, shit, we don't know. She probably left with everybody else. So you mean to tell me you sent Tatum to go get beers?
Nobody got their refill.
And nobody thought to go to where the beers were to go see if Tatum was still there?
This is true.
Not only was she not there, nobody was like, hey, she ain't been here in a minute. Maybe she the killer. Like, they ain't even suspect her. Like, this is the type of shit that I'm saying. Like, this shit, I don't know, man. That part, that just pissed me off. Because I'm just sitting there just looking at this shit like, who wrote this part? And whoever wrote this part, stop. Just stop. Don't write nothing else.
That was the worst kill in this whole movie.
Absolutely.
There's no garage opener in a house. Maybe in, you know what I'm saying, some of these businesses like where you own a garage or some shit like that. But there's no way that fucking garage opener. Now, don't get me wrong, Rose McGowan, I don't know. I ain't never seen her, but I would imagine she's around about 5'5". She don't look like a short. She's not a tiny woman.
No.
You know what I'm saying? She got to be like a buck 10.
To get through that fucking door.
She was small enough to get through that door. And then
garage door openers, especially when they automatic, have sensors on them.
Yes.
So the sensor would have caught her and just went back down.
This is so true. Like that kill is the most aggravating one. Absolutely. But I like the scene with Principal Henry. He's in there fucking around with the mask. No, I'm talking about after the second time they show him.
Oh, okay.
So he had to knock at the door, and this motherfucker, like, he's sitting there fucking with the mask and shit. And he walking through, and then there's a guy with a damn red and green sweater with a hat, and he was like, you little shit. He said, what you say? Not you, Fred. This motherfucker's name Fred. When he wearing a fucking Freddy fucking sweater. I thought that was a little sweet little touch that Wes Craven put in there. I like how he snuck that in there. But yeah, then he came back and he got fucking fucked up. But it was great. It was great how they shot the one part where, you know what I'm saying, they showed the ghost face in his eyeball. I thought that was a pretty good touch. I like how they did that. But yeah, that part was funny, man. Because it's really only in movies. And I've never been to the principal's office, right? I just didn't get in trouble. But I never remember a principal, you know what I'm saying, calling students little shits to their face. Like threatening them with scissors.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. That shit was absolutely
crazy. He actually put scissors up to a student's face.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
they wilding. I don't know what school.
See,
like, what world is different.
I don't know, man. It's just something about this. That's what I'm saying. It's something about this movie, bro. It just, I don't know if it's me and then being a victim of the moment and being recency bias, but like this shit did not. I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I'm saying like in '96, like this couldn't have been if we go back in time, like if we redo the draft, this ain't the one, bro. This is not the number one pick for 96 in horror movies. It can't be. Because if this is the bar in 96, bro, we went super low.
Well, you also got to think, like, okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in 97, if I'm not mistaken. So you looking at the stuff that's coming out around that time. You got Candyman in 92 and you got Candyman in 95. You got this in 96. You got
I know you got excuse me. You got Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay. Vampires.
You got Fear. Stephen King's Thinner. You got Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. Great movie, by the way. You got Hellraiser Bloodline. You got Tremors 2. Children of the Corn 4. What's this? Amityville Dollhouse. What?
That sounds trash.
Well, I guess this was the bar. God damn.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like when you're looking now, the thing is, so you know what I'm saying, Wes Craven was, you know what I'm saying, he did Vampires in Brooklyn in 95. So like I said, Scream in 96. When did they come out? I think they came out later. But that's what I'm saying. Dude, when you're going back to that time period, like yes, there isn't a lot during that time frame that was at least good anyway. So when Scream came out,
you are absolutely right because they had Lawnmower Man 2. It was a sequel. Who the fuck made that? That shit is horrible.
I'm telling you. And then I think that it was so. What really helped him out was the fact that Drew Barrymore agreed to do this.
Yeah.
Because of her star power. Because I don't think Neve Campbell was. I think this was the movie that set her up. You know what I'm saying? That took her to that next level. Obviously she was acting beforehand, but I think this is what set her career. But having somebody like Drew Barrymore to come in and to do that opening scene, which is seen with so many different people because they ended up bringing in the whole stab shit. You know what I'm saying? Started with the second one. That's how the second one even started. Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith went to the movies to go see Stab. And they had Heather Graham playing the same character that Drew Barrymore was playing. So that opening scene is what really kicked the movie off. But I see what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of like cheesy shit in there. But like at the time in 96, I think this was the bar. Because
absolutely right.
Because when you look at like Candyman was so different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was really like the first time where we seen like a real like black killer. You know what I'm saying? That's supernatural. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how well the public took to it, but 96, 97 and shit like that, this was the bar. Because even when you think about,
you got fucking Lawnmower Man out, I mean, you ain't got no fucking choice but to make this the motherfucking bar.
But then like
Leprechaun in Space as well. Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in Space.
Okay, look, Leprechaun, the first one, it's like, okay, you got the whole element of surprise. Like, oh, okay, all right. So then you get the second one, which I believe was Leprechaun in the Hood. It's like, okay. Yo. Yo, that shit was so funny.
If it was ever a movie black people should have never done,
was Leprechaun in the Hood.
Absolutely. That's horrible.
That shit was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
But no, like when you really think about those times, and then like another thing that was going in the 90s, started in the late 80s, but it was going into the 90s, like shit like Children of the Corn. But even those movies they got worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, Children of the Corn was trash to begin with, so it didn't really. I don't
like
know. I didn't really fuck with
it was but the way that they use, I mean, in the mid to late 80s, you know what I'm saying, doing this whole thing of using kids. Well, obviously the one that really kicked the shit off was really two movies, The Exorcist and The Omen, where it's like, okay, we can use fucking kids to scare people. And I just think that when it came to Children of the Corn, they were just like, all right, so we just gonna have these fucking kids take over a town and they obsessed with Jesus and they kill all their parents. And Children of the Corn was so fucking stupid. I went back and watched that shit a couple years ago, and it's just like, yeah, that shit was trash, bro. Like, you telling me fucking the car is fine, and then 2 seconds later, there's fucking corn growing out of the car. Like, the fuck? Like, what? Yo, that shit was bad, man. It was so bad.
I will say this though. For them to, and this is also the point that you was talking about with Drew Barrymore. For them to use Drew Barrymore in the beginning to open the scene, and then for them to make the main character Neve Campbell, who at the time was the pretty girl from Party of Five, that was a fucking risky move.
It was. Because they could have used
super risky move.
They could have used Rose McGowan. Could have switched those.
Absolutely. So for them to take that, and then you got to think about this too, like David Arquette.
Well, Courtney Cox was big because I think
that's what I'm saying.
That was around the Friends time.
Friends was definitely going. But I'm saying like David Arquette, Jamie Kennedy, Neve Campbell, I forgot what Shaggy, whatever his name was. I can't stand dude. He's played in a bunch of like good movies, but like every role that he plays in usually pisses me off. Especially when he was in 13 Ghosts. That made me mad in the mud. But but like all of these actors are not like super big name actors. And I think that that's the genius of horror films is bringing, you know what I'm saying, those actors that they may have a little, you know what I'm saying, fame, like especially Neve Campbell. Like she was, like I said, she was in Party of Five, which was a hit at the time. It was on Fox and it was a hit at the time, a hit TV show. And to bring her in and make her the main character of all of this, then to bring those guys to co-star in it, and for it to be as big as it is, and for it to have stamped itself in film history and in horror history, you got to kind of give credit to Wes Craven, and you got to be able to look at them people that say he ain't still have it and shake your finger at them. Because, I mean, look how far this shit has come along, and look at what type of careers those people have had outside of this movie. Like Jamie Kennedy blew up later on in his career. Stu, in a weird way, kind of, you know what I'm saying? He became something in his career. David Arquette ended up becoming a fucking star at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? The dude that played her boyfriend, I don't really think he was in a lot of shit, but I don't remember him from too much of nothing. But the nigga kind of looked like a young Johnny Depp, so he still could have had some work. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the fact that they had these guys in this movie and were able to do, you know what I'm saying, what they did with this story. I mean, you just gotta, you know what I'm saying, kind of tip your hat to Wes Craven and applaud him for that. To be able to bring that old school horror movie feel out, to bring these, I don't want to say B or C-list actors, but lesser known actors, you know what I mean? And then, you know, have somebody like a Drew Barrymore only be in it for a short time. Have a Courtney Cox who, you know what I'm saying, is on Friends, but, you know what I'm saying, she's in it, you know what I'm saying, to help out. Like, that's a hell of a move. It's a risky move, but it's a hell of a move.
Well, he done it before.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Then nobody know who Heather Langenkamp was.
True.
And then that was Johnny Depp's first movie.
Yep. Because he
So
got killed in the beginning. He got killed in the beginning, didn't he?
No. He made it through the movie. Remember, he didn't die to the
That's
end
right.
with the whole
That's
bed
right.
scene.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
but he
For some
turned in.
odd reason, every time I think of that movie, I think the bed scene is in the beginning. And
Well, there is a
instead of
bed
the
scene,
end.
but the girl dies.
It's the girl, right?
And yeah, when she get dragged up the wall and shit,
Yep.
fell
That's
from
what
the
I think.
ceiling.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, and he sinked into the bed at the end of the
Yep.
movie. But to take a risk on a dude who's never been in a movie before,
Mm-hmm.
and he ends up being a very important character.
Huge
And then
story.
also, Heather Langenkamp. But I think he also learned from, when he helped Sean Cunningham with Friday the 13th, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those girls, like when they told the story on like the movies that we live for, whatever that fucking documentary was called, like he
Mm-hmm.
was telling the girls, like the girl that, he was like, yo, show you had your breasts out and shit like that. He was
Yeah.
telling them, yo, nobody's gonna see this movie. Like he didn't even believe in the movie. So like he getting these no name girls and like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
show your breasts in this scene and baze. Ain't nobody gonna
Mm-hmm.
see it. So she's like, all right, I'll do it. And next thing you know, it becomes a cult classic. And
She
like,
got famous titties.
yeah, she got famous titties, and
Got famous
so like, so I think that he'd seen it work before. So he was just
Mhm.
like, and then I don't know the budget that he was given for this, because like I say, like a lot of people was looking at Wes Craven at this time and was like, yo, like we don't really think he got it anymore.
Right.
And like a movie that you like and a friend of ours like People Under the Stairs and shit like that.
Mhm.
But like I don't think that's a movie that like blew up, you know what I'm saying?
No,
But
it
he
definitely didn't. It definitely
okay,
didn't.
so he ended up getting so he got a $14 million budget estimated. So he did get, a pretty big
Mhm.
budget. But opening weekend, 6.3 million. But the gross ended up being 103 million,
Yeah.
and worldwide 173 million. So he
And then
definitely got his fucking money back.
you ain't even adding in DVD sales and streaming and all
Yeah.
that shit either. So yeah, it definitely ended up working out. And then I mean, of course we know it worked out because he done turned it into a fucking franchise, and you usually can't do that without having that success. You know what I'm saying? Early on with the first one. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to tip your hat to him, man. I mean, he ended up proving people wrong, and he ended up putting out a legendary movie.
True, but like you said, it does not age well. But anytime
Right.
you're using like the type of technology that they was using in this movie, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to
Mhm.
home phones, like
I
that
don't
big
think
ass camera that you
for
said.
me, it's not the home phones. It's none of that. It's just it's the first and foremost, it's the movie in itself, right? It's so much shit that where you looking at it and you like, okay, that's not something that's really going. It's too much shit to point out. I think that's what I'm saying. It's too much shit to point out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Old girl getting strung up with the garage door, and then you know what I'm saying? Then Drew Barrymore gets strung up while the parents is in the house, and Dewey getting stabbed in the back and falling out. First and foremost, fam. Oh, that's another thing. What fucking kind of glove was these motherfuckers wearing?
What you mean?
Because every time they stabbed the motherfucker, they just wiped
They
it
cleaned
clean
it
off
up.
with
Yeah.
the glove. And the glove was never soaking wet. It never had blood on it. Like, what kind of ShamWow glove did these motherfuckers have? That shit, I kept seeing that. I'm like, this motherfucker do this after every fucking kill. And I'm like, what kind of glove is this? That glove was fucking amazing, man. That glove could clean anything up. That shit was tremendous. They need this. That should have been on infomercials in the 90s. That glove, they didn't make a lot of money with that motherfucker, bro.
Hey.
And I'm like, how the fuck does he keep
You know who-
cleaning this motherfucking knife off with this same glove? And
You know who glove that
I'm talking
was?
about cleaning all the blood. I mean, like, he's doing magic at this point. He's grabbing it, sliding his hand off, and it's a whole new goddamn knife at this point.
That's
Like nothing
OJ
ever
glove.
happened. Man, I'm trying to tell you. This nigga Nigga said the OJ glove. That's fucking hilarious. But yeah, that was just something else I had to point out, man.
Oh,
But,
man.
You ready for the Fire Flames?
Let's do it, man.
All right, man.
Yoga fire, yoga flame.
Fucking OJ glove. All right, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the lead on this one, just to get my shit out the way. Truthfully, it was a great cast, great story. I will say this though, when he brought the gore and the violence and the all that, he definitely did, and that you got to give him credit for that. I do appreciate the fact though that it stayed in the lane of the classic slasher. And originally, you know what I'm saying, coming back and rewatching it, I was thinking I was going to give this a 3. But as I kept watching and everything else, the fact that I was able to point those things out and the fact that I was like, yo, this shit didn't age well, whatever, it made me give an appreciation for what it was, because it truly is a symbol of the time that it's in. You know what I'm saying? Just like all the rest of those horror movies were, they're all symbols of the time, you know what I'm saying, that they were made in. And because of that, I got to boost it up. So I'm going to go ahead and go 4.
Okay. I ain't mad at that. I think that especially from what we've seen this thing become, till it's just had a movie that just come out last year. For, you know, a person like Billy to become really like side by side the main character, even though he wasn't even fucking there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The way they was able to do the writing with it, to take, like you mentioned, like you had a lot of great points. Like these people wasn't huge stars, except
Absolutely.
Drew Barrymore. She was the only one. And to take these people and to get it to a point that they got it to, and you know, give Wes Craven that comeback. Like even though some of the kills was kind of cheesy, and like the reasoning of why this dude did it and trying to, you know, having the timing. This is my thing that I didn't bring up during the podcast, was that her mother, it wasn't a year until after 12 o'clock during that party, but Cotton is already on death row. That's the quickest fucking trial I've ever heard of in my life. Like a murder charge.
Nigga, they had her daddy tied up in the house. Nigga, where did they catch this nigga? How are you in the car at one point, and the next thing you know, you tied up nigga in the cellar?
Well, I think what they did was like
had a nigga in the snack closet. Like the fuck?
Had him in the pantry. Man, oh man, that's funny. But oh shit. No, I'm just talking about like, come on, dude. Like, there's nobody that get convicted for a murder charge in less than a year. Like, that's crazy. And to have Lee Schreiber just to be seen 10 seconds, he's out of here. Like, that's it. Yeah. Until, you know, you get to the second one. And then he dies right in the fucking beginning of the second one. But no. Well, anyway, that's a whole other thing. Like you said, especially during that time, 96, this unfortunately was the standard. There was a lot of cheesy shit, but I think that they did a really good job. It does not age particularly well, but I'm going to give it a 4 as well, because of what it ended up standing for. Yeah, the things that it done for a movie to make this kind of money. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know the wording of how much it, you know, doubled its money or whatever, whatnot. Because obviously the opening weekend didn't do it, but I'm guessing word of mouth after that opening weekend came, because they ended up making bank after that. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yep, absolutely. That's what's up, man. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the coming soon, bro.
Let's do it.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
Okay, so Echoes. What? I'm not sure what this is.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a busy weekend because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 8 8 or 10 episodes.
Okay.
But this was a TV show that came out, I think last year or the year before, where Michelle McCallahan she was playing a twin. Remember, it
Okay.
was my
I
What We
remember.
Watching
I
a
remember
while
that. Yeah.
back,
I remember
where
that.
the
Yeah.
two twins would switch up, and you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And yeah.
And
So
this
we
is
thought that
on Netflix, right?
Netflix, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's a very, very interesting movie. Where you got these sets of twins. Like I said, Michelle plays both twins, and we come to find out that like they end up living each other's lives for a year.
Mhm.
And when I mean living each other's lives for a year, they would meet up on their birthday
Everything entailed. Yeah.
and they would share everything that happened throughout that year, and then they would live each other's lives. And both of these women was married. So we both thought that was something very, very interesting to talk
Yeah,
about.
that's crazy. I can't
Yeah.
wait to watch this. Okay, so I know what we're talking about now. I believe I watched the first episode, but I'm definitely just gonna
Yeah.
go back and watch it all the way through just to keep a refresher. So y'all get ready for the next episode. This should be a very interesting episode. Um, Especially with the story that we got to talk about. Um, I don't know how this one's gonna pan out, man. You know what I'm saying? We might come in here jaw drop, you know what I'm saying? Off the shit that we seen. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all get ready, man. Listen, if you enjoyed Scream, if you think Scream is one of the greatest horror films of all time, which it definitely is up there. Or if you are like me and wonder where the fuck the cops was this whole movie, hit us up on the socials. Let us know, man. Instagram and Twitter at View9Pod. Facebook VA Pod Watch Group, and then we also have the Twitter community you can join where we talk about movies, we talk about television, we give updates on the show and everything else in between. And if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Scoops Bronson on Twitter. I have a link tree in my bio. You can find me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and on Twitter at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast 28 minutes or less. It's I would prefer Spotify, but on the last episode is still Dear Mama, episode 124. The documentary on Tupac and Afeni, his mother. So go check that out on all major platforms.
Yes, sir. And listen, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. We definitely appreciate the support. Without you, there could be no us. And until the next episode, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.